talking about the Major League Baseball season winding down. And first thing I want to get to is the fact that the Oakland A's are playing their final regular season home games this week when they host the defending World Series champions, the Texas Rangers. Um, don't know if Mount Davis is going to be open for these 3 games. I know A's fans were pushing for that, but we'll see. But the A's should be staying in Vegas. They really should be. The fact that John Fisher just kind of screwed over. You back now?
I'm back.
Okay. The fact that John Fisher has basically screwed over the city of Oakland, I don't like it. I feel bad for the fans of Oakland, and it sounds like things aren't a done deal yet in Vegas 100%. So even though they're going to be in Sacramento these next couple seasons, I could see a scenario where they end up coming back to Oakland.
Well, we'll have to see on that. What I was gonna say before my Wi-Fi got disconnected was that you tried to tell me about a month ago that the Detroit Tigers could be making noise in the AL wild card, and I sort of dismissed it and said I think Minnesota and Kansas City are going to go on a roll. But you know what? Every single year, Josh, there's always that team that collapses in September. This year we have 2. Now, I think one of them will probably make the playoffs. I don't know if you agree on that. I don't think Seattle's going to make it. I guess they could. They're still 1.5 games back. But I kind of have a feeling one of those 2, Kansas City or Minnesota, is going to get in. And I don't think it's both. I think the Tigers are getting in.
Yeah, I've got the Tigers and I've got the Royals. I think Minnesota misses out.
And boy, remember a month ago, this kind of goes back to our Guardians a little bit. Remember a month ago, it was after the show. We were just chatting a little bit. We were talking about, like, oh boy, Minnesota could take the division. Kansas City could take the division. Look what happened now.
Exactly. In terms of the Guardians, though, congrats to them on winning the division, but they got to catch the Yankees and win that number 1 seed. Because if they
Very
don't...
unlikely. It's very unlikely. They got to win out, essentially.
Yes. And that's going to be tough because they got 2 against Cincinnati, and then the Houston Asterisks come to town to wrap up the season, which that series could be huge because right now the Guardians are the 2 seed, which means they would play the winner of that wild card series between the Detroit Tigers, I believe, and the Houston Asterisks. I would favor Houston.
Not necessarily Detroit. Detroit right now, I think, is the 5. Or they're tied with Kansas City. So,
okay, so it could be Baltimore as the 4 seed. But if Houston, either way, if Houston wins that series in the wild card, I would not pick the Guardians to win in the ALDS against Houston. Not when Altuve and that whole crew has been to 7 straight ALCSs. They've been to multiple World Series. Granted, their 2017 World Series championship is not legitimate. I don't care what the history books say. That title has an asterisk next to it. Probably some garbage cans banging in the background. But they've been to multiple world... Huh?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, what were you saying?
Oh, which is why I know that you're saying that series could be pivotal against Houston. I don't think it's going to matter. I think the Guardians are already going to be locked into the 2 seed. I think Houston's already going to be locked into the number 3 seed. You can pitch whoever you want. Don't give the trash cans any tip of pitches because I think they are going to win that wild card round, and I think they're going to be right back here in a week to play us in the divisional round.
And if it's Houston going against Cleveland, sorry, Cleveland fans, I think the season ends. We saw these 2 teams play each other in the ALDS back in 2018. I know they're both very different from then, but We saw Houston swept that series. Maybe the Guardians win a game, but I could see a scenario where Houston sweeps that series, even though it starts in Cleveland.
I'm not ready to pick that series yet. I'm telling you right now, that would make me very nervous. I think the National League is just unpredictable. I don't know what to make of the Phillies. Otani, congratulations on your 50-50 season. We'll see if we can get the Dodgers over the top this year. San Diego is like 40-16 or something like that in their last 56 games. They're hot right now. They're technically not out of the NL West race. Milwaukee is a very good team this year. So like to me, I think everybody kind of feels that the American League is sort of Yankees, Orioles, Astros, Guards, in that sort of order, maybe. I'm not sure. The National League to me is whoever gets hot.
Yeah, I could. I mean, the Braves are still in the mix. The Mets are in the mix.
Now,
Arizona,
those two
San.
play each other starting tonight.
Yeah, so I would pick the Mets to win that series. Because I think, yeah, the Braves are still in the mix, but all their injuries are have to catch up with them at some point.
Yeah, but
But
I mean, this is going to determine who gets that last wild card spot in the National League.
yeah, and we could see a scenario where Arizona goes on a similar type run to last year. We've seen it. So
And they is either the five. They would either play San Diego or they would play, I believe, the Brewers.
yeah, and well, who knows what you're gonna get with the Brewers? I
Exactly. So the National League is wide open. Next week will be the start of the wild card round. We'll make our official World Series predictions like we did a year ago. At that point, um, but I think it's going to be just like last year. I think it's a very open postseason. The one thing I will say that in defense of our Guardians that may go in our favor no matter who we play, I like Ben Lively. I like Tanner Bybee. I think Gavin Williams, very good. I think you have a good top three. If the Guardian starters can just get the game to the fifth or the sixth inning and it's a 1 or 2 run game, they will have a good shot to win because that bullpen is lights out.
yes, but that's where I have some. That's where I get nervous because the Guardians have had to use that bullpen a lot this season. Is there a scenario where by the time we get to the postseason, they're worn down? Is that don't you
Um,
think that's a legit concern?
I think it was a month ago, but I think they're getting hot again. And I think in baseball, statistically, the best bullpens are right there at the end of the season. They don't get worn down.
It I mean, we did see it with the 2016 then Cleveland Indians with how they use their bullpen.
Which revolutionized the MLB, by the way. That's how bullpens got started being used so much in the postseason.
I would say it wasn't the Indians in 2016. I would say it was more the Royals the previous 2 years.
You
But I
could
could,
make an argument, but that to me, that was like the seventh or eighth inning on. The way Francona used Andrew Miller.
yeah, I I'll hear your argument on that. I would still say it's more the Royals, but I understand your perspective as well on that.
Either way, I think it's going to be a very fun postseason. We'll talk about it next week.